Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video series and a brand new day. And yes, today is a very special day because most likely your girlfriend who you're going to propose to on a Valentine's Day has probably going to reject you or has already rejected you. So I'm sorry about that, Sunny. Told you last year never to propose on a Valentine's Day. It's quite a chaotic date. But anyway, today's subject is on Vargottama planets and Vargottama Lagna. As in, what is Vargottama that you keep asking me, and how is Vargottama planet really seen, or Vargottama Lagna, or Vargottama aka ascendant, what it really means, alright? So that's what we're going to discuss today, and as always, if you do not know what your ascendant is, what your ascendant in navamsa is, or if you have the planet in, your navamsa and your birth chart, what's going on, because that's what Vargottama is all about. For that, check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light. And on a better note, yes, since today is Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. So today, I'm going to be taking my wife to a very lovely romantic restaurant with all the exotic foods, because her and I, we just love exotic foods. Come on, she's from, St. Louis, so gotta take her out. So we're going to have I'm going to have venison, kale, lobster, all the weird exotic stuff that you would probably hate and never eat, but I love it. So let's get started. Vargottama planets. What does it mean to have Vargottama planets? Vargottama planet simply means when a planet is in the same sign in your main birth chart and in the same sign in the navamsa chart. And that's when it's known as a Vargottama planet. Now, this is a main basic term that, hey, when a planet is in the same sign in both birth chart and navamsa, is Vargottama. But in my case, in my personal case, if you have seen me do career consultation for you, I would say, oh, your planet is Vargottama in the birth chart and in the samsa chart. What the term simply means is that your main planet in the main birth chart is somehow positioned in the same sign in a certain divisional chart. Although, legitimately, you should only apply Vargottama, definition for navamsa chart, not the birth chart. Okay. Same thing with ascendant. If you have, Taurus ascendant in the main birth chart, in your navamsa you also have a Taurus ascendant, that becomes Vargottama Lagna. Or if Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini in your main birth chart, and Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini in your navamsa, that's a Vargottama planet or Vargottama Jupiter. What does it mean, and does it have any significance in Vedic astrology? Vargottama planet does have significance in Vedic astrology. What it shows is that planet or a person, whatever planet that they have, that's Vargottama, that area of life they will be very content with. Let's say if Jupiter is in Cancer in your main birth chart, it's exalted, or it's just in simply a Cancer sign, no matter if it's at 28 degrees or 15 degrees. In your navamsa chart, Jupiter is also exalted. And so what this tells me is that whatever this person has believed in early part of their life growing up, what they have encountered in terms of moral, philosophy, religion, spirituality, they're going to carry that belief into, their next part of life. Their belief system will not change. They will always be content with what they have learned. Same thing, let's say if your sun is in Libra, debilitated, sun debilitated in navamsa. What this would tell me is that, hey, this person is quite content with who they are. Just because they have a debilitated sun doesn't mean they're going to have a low self-esteem, low confidence, low ego in them. They'll be content. They'll be very good at Libra things. They could be very good in, creative entertainment area of life. They're very good at being a diplomat, creating relationships with people, creating relationships with authoritative people. At the same time, Sun is so content. He's like, you know what? I know I'm a king, but I will still go down to the marketplace and I will make a deal with everybody else. I will make fair deals and I will be, like the king of business. So Sun, which is your self-esteem and ego, is quite content. He's like, hey, there's no disturbance here. Now, if Sun is debilitated in your main birth chart and then exalted in navamsa chart, what this tells me that this person growing up had a low self-esteem, low confidence, but as they came into their 30s, they started to get comfortable with who they are. And this suddenly started to gain, confidence and high self-esteem. They started to see things that, hey, I don't care what people think of me. I am who I am. This is what I want to do. That's how this judgment of birth chart and, Vargottama is seen. However, one thing people forget is the fact that you have to look at conjunction and aspects not only in a birth chart, but also in a navamsa chart. Because if your Jupiter receives an aspect from a certain planet or is conjunct a certain planet in your navamsa, while in your birth chart, Jupiter is free from any aspect or conjunctions, there's going to be a whole huge difference. So if Jupiter is exalted in your main birth chart without any negative aspects or positive conjunction, negative conjunction, it just is what it is. In navamsa chart, it's in the axis of Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Mars are looking at your Jupiter. What this shows, there's going to be a lot of obstacles in you maintaining your belief system. As much as you want to follow your spiritual path and your path of eating vegan food, you're going to run into so many obstacles where you have nothing but fast foods around you. You have barely any spiritual communities, churches, temples. And so now you're forced to work. You're forced to, keep your belief system within you. Eat the normal greasy food. Or if you try to do your vegan food, it'll be really hard and it'll frustrate you. It'll be like, forget it. I'm just going to do whatever is here. That's how these Vargottama planets need to be judged. You cannot just say, oh, I have a Vargottama sun, so I'm okay. The Mahadasha sun will come and I'll do okay. No. Always look at the aspect and conjunction in both. That will determine how good your sun is doing, even if it's Vargottama. Now let's talk about ascendants. Now, what you need to understand about the Vargottama Lagna part is that usually it's said that when somebody has the same ascendant in the mantra and in birth chart, shows a very confident person. Somebody who's able to withstand, all the obstacles of life and, have a strong willpower, have a strong, self-esteem, has a strong, just pretty much competitiveness. And people have that. People feel that, but guess what the reality is? Again, I have seen just in my own near and dear families, Vargottama ascendant, yet no willpower. They actually said it themselves. I have no willpower. Have a very low self-esteem. Sun is exalted in the birth chart and placed in a different sign, but like a different sign in the navamsa chart. But at the same time, they don't realize that the reason why the Vargottama part is not working is because their ascendant has axis of Rahu and Ketu in there. Or they might have axis of Mars and Saturn looking at each other, while Ketu might be aspecting, the first or the seventh house. So again, the Vargottama only works if your main birth chart and Vargottama are all void of any negative aspects or conjunction. When you see that, absolutely you can say, yeah, this person is very confident, has a very strong willpower, and has a very competitive drive to succeed, and they will succeed. But in reality, do not take this, with, just the face value. You have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to go on this side of the world, not that side. Don't just read and see that, oh, this is happening. If you want to see if it's working, go test it out. That's what I did. That's why I know that Vargottama planets or Vargottama ascendant are not really what they are unless the things are supporting them to be that way. Sure, if Jupiter is void of any malefic aspects on the birth chart and in the navamsa, that Jupiter will be quite easily be able to follow its morals and religious values. But if Jupiter is really in a harsh aspect or conjunction in the birth chart, while it's Vargottama and navamsa and it's not in any harsh aspect or conjunction, what this tells me that early on they wanted to follow their certain spiritual belief. They did not have the ambience to do that. But as they progressed in their life and things started to change, Mahadasha started to change, Charadashas came into play, and then Jupiter started to become active, they suddenly found that for them, following their religious, spiritual, moral beliefs became quite easy. Perhaps they moved in their late 20s, early 30s, and somehow they came in contact at the most spiritual place, like my backyard. The most spiritual place. I have like crane and ducks and mallards and seagulls, everything just coming here. I'm in a very spiritual place. This is where I do my writing. I sit here, well, when it's kind of like hot, I just sit here and write. It's a spiritual thing for me. So that's what Vargottama shows. It shows a content that the planet is able to have all throughout life. But a conjunction and aspects will always change that. And usually if you want to see, I just use a software, but in reality, if you want to see if somebody has a Vargottama ascendant, you have to pay attention to the padhas. There are certain ascendant, like 5 ascendants, that if your ascendant in your main birth chart is in the first padha of these certain lagnas, they will be the Vargottama ascendant. Like if Aries ascendant in your rising sign is in the first padha, it'll probably be the Aries ascendant in the main birth chart as well. So things like that. I don't calculate it anymore. No, hardly anybody does, is because the software is there to do that for you. Okay. Now, it is always a good practice to do these things manually. I don't have the time, neither I have the desire, so I'm just saying it right out front. But there are schools of astrology, especially Kapiel Raaj school, where you will do everything manually with hand. If I go there, man, I'll get my butt kicked, because you got to do so many calculations just to come up with what your navamsa is, what your disposition in navamsa is. It takes a long time. That's why back in the days, a Jyotish, a Vedic astrologer, was somebody very, very skillful. Okay, so guys, this is my analysis of what Vargottama planets and ascendants are. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your Vargottama planets are and your ascendants are, for that, check out the links here. Check out my books and my full astrological report. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.